Oh, girl, you know I could jam to that today.
Yes, yes.
Goodness. Welcome to First Fridays. My name is Marissa, and she is.
Minister Chris Allen.
All right. And we have a special guest with us, Mark Wiggins, editor-in-chief from Off the Bench magazine. And we are talking all things business. And we are super excited to have our very first guest, right, Chris?
Yay!
Our topic for this month, and we want you to think about it throughout the month, is mastering your strategy. And so that's going to be our focal point for today's interview. Because without a strategy, it's like aiming at a target in the dark, expecting to hit the bullseye. You have got to have a strategy. You not only have to have a strategy, but you have to have a backup plan. And so, without further ado, we want to bring out with us, right, Chris?
Well, before we get started, first let's do some housekeeping stuff.
Go ahead, girl.
Let me take this off. One of the things that we definitely ask you guys to do is to subscribe to our YouTube channel at First Fridays with Marissa and Chris. And we want to thank you all for those who have subscribed. We have our own URL. Yay!
Thank you.
And we want to keep growing our audience, and we want you to catch all of our episodes. So if you go and subscribe, ring that bell, so every time we go live, you'll be notified, because sometimes we don't do 7 p.m. Sometimes we may go live at 12. So do us a favor, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also you can reach out to, oh, that's the wrong one. My bad. Where is she? There we go. You can reach out to Marissa on all her social media websites, channels, platforms, her website. It's all right there. And also myself. There we go. And also one of the great things too is that Marissa has her own magazine. Can you believe it? Yay. And you can subscribe to it here, right? At
Yes.
TCS Consulting. So go ahead and get that subscription. Tell them what the cost is, which is very, very low for the year, right?
Yes, it's for the year. So if you subscribe to the Own It magazine for $35 for the entire year, you get access to all the issues for that year. Regardless as to when you subscribe, you get access to all the issues. You get discounts for any of our events. And as we open back up, we will be having live events, in-person events. Also, you get free digital copies of the book of the month. These are books that I've written, personal, professional, business development, love life, raising your children, is just to name a few. And so there's so much bang for your buck when you subscribe to the Own It magazine. And so subscribe today.
Yes. How can you holler when it's only $35? Come on.
Go ahead. Mr. Chris, go right in.
And you can also order my books. I'm an international best-selling author of Restoration Speaks. It's a whole series. You can go to restorationspeaks.com, and you can also follow me on my IG and Facebook at Restoration Speaks. So now we can get started with our guest. Yay, our very first one. Come on here. Let's welcome Mr. Mark Wiggins of Off the Bench. Hey, Mark.
Hey. What's going on, family? How are y'all?
Doing
good.
I didn't know we was drinking today. I could have had a little wine over here, Marissa. I see you turning up.
I got my tea.
That's not messed up. All right, Chris. Fair. I didn't get that in the memo.
Well, welcome.
Listen, we got it.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here on y'all's First Friday, the first guest on the First Friday. I appreciate the reach out to talk about what we're going to talk about. So let's get it started, Chris. Where we going? How we lean in? Talk to me.
How we lean in.
Well, we talk about mastering strategy. So what does that actually mean? Because we know what strategy means, but how do we actually master it? What does that really mean?
That's a great question. And when I got the topic, I was like, mastering strategy. Well, that alone is a process. And so I began to look a little deeper into the strategy process, right? And we think about that part of the formula I believe is a whole formula that we have to engage in, and we don't engage in it fully to really get the full results out of it. Let's back up a little bit. So we all know what goals are. Everybody talks about setting goals and doing goals and all that kind of good thing. The goal is an overall thing we want to get to, right? The strategy is the thing that we talk about doing to get to the goal. So strategy is defined as a plan of action or a policy designed to achieve a major overall win. Overarching is the goal, and the strategy is inside of that. Now, here comes the problem. The problems are kind of multifold. Number one, our goals aren't clear enough. We set goals, and they're not defined enough, or specifically defined. So we just say stuff, and we go, yeah. So behind that not clearly defined thing we've stated, we then go try to make a plan to support that thing, which is not clearly defined. And so the plan that we lay out to go get the strategy is also now faulty. So therefore, we set ourselves up for failure, frustration, giving up, not enough production, not production fast enough, or maybe not enough success that we see that we want to have. And we know, as I always say, success is, I'm not judging your success, but you should. So that's the thing. But there's a piece of this formula that we often don't talk about, and that is tactics. The tactics are the smallest part of this formula to help us achieve goal. Tactics, to me, are the goal inside the goal. So if we're setting a goal, we have our strategy, then we have our tactics, the actual items, the things that we must do specifically to make the goals go, the strategy go to go get the goal. So if we set a goal for Marissa, we would talk about magazines. Okay, so I want 1,000 subscribers. I want to be like my mentor, boss. I want to be able to Google my name with one letter and everything I do shows up. You type M on Google and Marissa's face shows up everywhere because she's everywhere, right? So that's the goal. The strategy is, okay, we're going to market to Facebook. We're going to market to Instagram. We're going to network. These are the strategies, right? What's missing out of that? How? Once we get to Facebook, what are we going to do specifically inside Facebook? Okay, we're going to target people from 35 to 45 with a Facebook marketing plan and spend $15 a session or whatever. The tactics are the specific things you need to make the others go. And then lies a problem. We don't ever get down to the deets. We don't usually go down deep enough to tactics, to make them go. And we spend a little bit more time in the tactical area. I think we begin to master our strategy. That's my quick overview of what I believe it takes to master a strategy. If you got a question, go, because I got more.
All right. Woo, listen to him. That was a lot. So in my researching on mastering your strategy, one of the biggest things about strategy is commitment. Commitment is one of the biggest things that will lead so you can have the strategy, but if you're not committed to this strategy, it won't come to fulfillment. So what are your insights, or what are your thought processes about commitment and consistency?
Yeah, those are also challenges. Again, I think it goes back to the energy behind the goal. If you don't have passion for your purpose, then you won't be able to finish. Passion for purpose gives you endurance to finish the task. And if we're not energized by our goals, then there is no commitment. One of the things I talk about or believe is that when passion is present, discipline is not necessary. Discipline is what we do because we don't want to do it. I'm going to get up every day and walk. Huh?
You better tell it. That is so, that's an insight that most people don't look at, because we don't think about that. Discipline is, because I always say your why must make you high, right? Your why must make you high. Why? Because you want that fix. So
exactly.
if it makes you high, you are determined. You are going to be consistent. You're going to be committed because you want the results. What does it come from getting that fix? And so, so that's right on point. But discipline really is, you really don't want to, and it's not that you don't want to do it. It's just that you just have to sometimes talk yourself into it. Let's bring you in, Chris. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I wanted to ask.
I see you right over there.
It's a question that I have for Mark is how important is it to write out your strategy, and what is the difference between, because I listened to something that you sent me, and something that you said about having a to-do list versus an achievement list. So in writing out your strategy, is that different from the to-do list, the achievement list? How do we actually write out these things, and are they important to do? Is it important to do that?
The short answer is absolutely. There is empirical data that shows that the physical act of writing
What
out
was that
connects.
word?
Empirical.
Is that a real word?
Today it is. Empirical data that says
it sounds like you went royal for me. That sounds like a royal word, but go ahead.
right as you sip. All right, y'all might need y'all to put them cups down. So it talks about it talks about the physical act of actually writing that down and the connectivity between your hand, the pencil, and your mind, and that makes it more real. That the NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming of things, that allows you to feel that thing that you wrote down and to see it. You thought it, you wrote it, and you see it. So yes, there is a benefit to that. The topic of the achievement list versus to-do list is so mundane, right? I have to do this today. I got to do this, and do this. Where is the reward? Where is the achievement? I'm be dropping gems all morning, but success is not one major event. It's a series of achieved wins along the way. So I said, well, I want to achieve more. So why don't I get rid of this to-do thing and call it an achievement? Because if I take one of those things off that list, that's achievement. Right? Mm-hmm. It goes back to what I say, success is personal, right? I determine that success to me. Being able to get up this morning and have a call and be ready to go for you all off the achievement list, I've done my thing for today. Stopping by the post office today, what you would put on your to-do list is an achievement list for me, because I may or may not achieve that today. But I'm gonna achieve some other things. And so just by changing the terminologies we use, NLP affects how we feel emotionally and how we perform, which then gives us that energy, which allows us to not worry about discipline, but stay connected to our passion. It takes a little bit of effort, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good, because when you think about, that to do, I gotta do, a lot of people get overwhelmed with, I gotta do all of these things. But when you change that terminology of achieving it, even if I didn't achieve all 10 and I achieved 2, that's something to celebrate. So I do agree with that. That was great.
Think about this though, Chris. Yeah, hold on. Think about this. When you, to your point, let's reverse that out. When you hit your to-do list today and you've got 5 out of the 8 or 9 things done, do you feel like you've achieved, or you feel like you left something that, my day's not successful because I didn't get all these done? Right? Now,
so you ask, is that a rhetorical, or you asking me?
It's asked.
Well, for me, I write down all the things that I know I need to do, and I usually do it. I try to do it day by day, and if I didn't get it done that day, then it just shifts to the next day. And what I've learned to do is to do things that are priority first. If it's something, especially something that's time sensitive, if it's time sensitive, I make sure I do those things that are very top on the priority list. So if I don't get some of the other things that need to be done, but don't necessarily have to be done today, then I'm okay with shifting them to the next day or the day after. So so a to-do list, I don't make it what's the word I'm looking for? Where it makes or breaks my whole everything. If I get it done, I'm good. If not, if I live to see another day, I'll get it done another day. But I like achievement versus the to-do list, because it does give you a sense of accomplishment. So I hope I think that.
Right. And I think back to the mastering of the strategy, which is the arching conversation. I'm gonna say that you are in the 1%. Most people don't necessarily feel that way. If they don't get that list done, they feel incomplete, like they have failed, and they stay that way. And all of a sudden, I'm defeated because I just loaded the next day, whenever I get to it, with more tasking. or
Right.
whatever. Like, is that now been the priority, or does tomorrow's priority become the priority? What is it? So to help sort
Wow.
that, then we're talking and coaching people, as you all do. We have to help them get to the next level, is to change the narrative, change their
Right.
perspective, right? To showing that you are making progress. Any good progress forward is progress forward. So we want to make them in that space, and then after a while, it becomes the old saying, success breeds success, and it becomes a habit.
Yeah. And so what you're tapping really on is it's all about mindset. So it's
Sure.
mindset, because what we think with our mind then becomes our emotion and then transitions to our behavioral habits, right? Our behavioral response to things. And so you guys both hit on something that was very important. It was achievement versus to do is huge, Mark. So I really love that achievement. And then Chris, you tapped on the fact that there needs to be a release of the responsibility. And that's the self-talk. It's the self-regulating that says, and that's what you put on the screen first with self-mastery. That's why it's important to know how you work yourself. Self-awareness is so critical if to live a life that's fulfilling. Because what you need to do is you need to be so aware of yourself and the triggers that will send you into a plummet. I appreciate a chiropractor. I had gotten into an accident really like in my 20s, and just overwhelmed. At that point, I was managing at AT&T a $70 million budget with no training, none of that, no support from work, no educational background in managing such a large amount of money. And I was stressed. I was a young mom. I was a young wife. Very, very stressed out. And he recommended that I go see a psych therapist. And so I did. I was like, I couldn't even get in an elevator I had to take the stairs for a period of time because the anxiety was so high that I felt like if I got stuck in the elevator, how was my strategy going to be to survive it or whatever? But what that doctor did for me that was so critical, and I still use it today, is make a daily to-do list. And so he was the one, because it helps you to regulate how you're making progress. It also gives you the ability to measure your progress too. But like you guys said, it's so critical to make sure that this list is not running your life. And so again, I say all that to say that there's so much in this. There's so much treasury in what's being said here today, in regards to creating a master strategy, as well as having the mindset and also the release that your strategy is going to be great, but you also have to remember that you're not going to hit every single thing every single time. And it's okay. And to look at it like you've gotten some things done. Don't give up. Don't slow down your momentum. Keep going. And just like we discussed earlier, Mark, in regards to what you don't do. So we talked about weekly goals, right? And then how you set weekly goals, but it's not necessarily that you're always going to meet them, but that's okay. There's another week in the month, right? And then there's another week in the month, and then there's another week in a month. You got 4 basic standard weeks in a month that you can make up the momentum. Some weeks is going to be better than the previous week. Sometimes the past week is going to be better than the current week. But within that month's time frame, there is time to either catch up or still finish strong. And so just like you said, look at it as achievement and a forward moving motion toward your goal or your desire for achievement. So that's very, very good.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not good to define yourself by to-do lists and achievements. So if you're defining yourself by what you do and what you achieve, then you're already at a deficit, because like you said, some weeks you're going to do well, you may achieve a lot. So does that make you less than? So you have to define yourself by something greater than yourself, and it's greater than a to-do list or an achievement list. So that's how I look at it. I define myself by the way God defines me. So it's not in what I do, it's already who I am. And because I know who I am, this is just something that I do. So if I don't do all those things, I'm still who I am. I just didn't do that thing. So that's the things that, and I think you talked about it, Mark, about the mind, you or Marissa, about your mindset, changing your mindset. These are just things you do. It's not who you are, and we have to learn to separate it.
Yeah, I think too. Those are all great points. When it comes back to setting goals, we always talk about SMART goals. I like we can cite that SMART specific. So a couple years ago, I moved away from talking about the rest of the alphabet and went to A and R, attainable and
A
realistic.
and R.
Yeah, attainable and SMART, attainable and realistic. Part of
Right.
our setup is we set goals that are attainable, but they ain't realistic currently. Or they're not realistic, but they are attainable. They're just not attainable for you right now. So that's crucial to setting proper goals. And I think we leave that out of our conversation of teaching people how to set better goals. Is make sure the goal is something that's attainable and realistic. Starting a new magazine within 2 weeks and say I want to do $100,000. Well, it is realistic, but brother, it's not attainable, bro. You ain't wrote an article yet. How you gonna get to 100? How about you set it to something that's more obtainable and
Like
drop
$10.
the number down, right? And you go for it from there. And then when you achieve that goal, go forward. So that's areas when I coach to people, like what's real. Come on, be for real. Not what everybody told you, not what you see. Even if you said it's small, let's say you set the small. All right, Marissa, we talking magazine. All right, Mark, what you gonna do? I'm doing X. I'm doing this. I said again, you're all over Google, sis. You're all over Google. So I'm gonna compare me to you. You're doing 1.5. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna do $1,000. Come on, Mark, you can do better than that. That's too low. That's 1 month. Not for me. It is perfect goal. Then I'm gonna set a stretch goal. I'm gonna go to you said 1,000. All right, bro. How about 1,500? Okay, we can do that. And then you go get that, right? You see that you're moving towards quicker, then you adjust. So that way you don't set yourself up for failure. Me saying $1, that's not even worth the effort. 2,000, 5,000, maybe a $10,000 a year or $15,000 a year is a little bit more realistic for somebody who's new. Now, let me be clear. I'm not trying to squash anyone's major master dreams, but set something long and then set some mid-range goals and then go. Ultimately, you want to get to the $100,000 a year. Yeah, ultimately. But prior to that, can we get to 25 first? Can we get to 10? Because you got to get to 10 before you get to 100. My math is not always that good, but I think you got to get to 10 before you get to 100. I'm not sure. So attainable and realistic goals in our conversations will take that pressure off of what we set in our list, in our achievement list to go do.
Amen. That's good.
Yes.
Well, on that note, let's take a quick break. Let's try this commercial thing here, and we'll be right back on the other side of this commercial, continuing to talk about mastering strategy with the Mark Wiggins from Off the Bench. We'll be right back.
Yes.
And we are back. Marissa, I thought you might want to ask a question, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to talk to you about Off the Bench, your magazine. So talk to them. What's your vision behind Off the Bench magazine?
The vision for Off the Bench magazine is it's I call it like a culmination of all the things I've done, speaking, training, motivating in one space that allows people to launch out and go do what they want to do. I'm providing a platform for people to stretch their message. And I wanted to do this through the magazine because it was a great opportunity. It's not something I've never done before. So it was an opportunity to expand my own knowledge, my own reach, set my new goals clear and obtainable, and work with people to give them an opportunity to do it. Because what is that? When we help people create speeches. I do speaker coaching. So I help people put their message together. My perfect client is the one who comes up and says, oh my God, I want to speak. God told me to talk. I don't know what to talk about. Say, great, come talk to me, because I want to help you develop your core message, the thing that you come back to over and over again while you speak. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how, as long as you stay with your core items. And that was an extension of their platform, is to now we work to put the message in the magazine and get the magazine out to people, thereby practicing on your message. It is an inspirational lifestyle magazine, so we deal a lot in motivation, mindset. Magazine, we have coaches, life coaches, financial people, entrepreneurs coming through, sharing their message of how basically they had their off the bench moment and how you can too.
Oh, this is awesome. I want to come back to a little bit of that, because I want to talk to you about how you get your subject matter experts, and how, if anyone wants to be featured in the magazine, how they can connect with you to do that. But I also want to talk about hammering nails, because I never knew about hammering nails. So tell me what you gentlemen have been up to.
Girl, that was a good one. So what Marissa's talking about in the March edition, we did actually it was that March and May edition. I'm sorry, April. Lord, I don't know what month it is. April. Michael Elliott was is the founder, CEO of Hammer and Nails. It's a men's groom salon. And if you think you know the name Michael,
I saw him on Shark Tank.
Yeah,
exactly right. He was on Shark Tank early seasons, right?
Yes,
right. Michael Elliott, if you also know Michael Elliott, he is a playwright. So he wrote Brown Sugar, Like Mike, some of our cult classics, right? And the one with Common and Queen Latifah, whatever that one was. I can't remember the name, but he is the screenwriter for that. And he tells his story about wanting to go get his nails and manicured or whatever, and feeling out of place in the spa in the women's world. And they were looking at him crazy. So he said there must be a space for men. And so he made his Hammer and Nails salon and for the men, grooming salon. And the story goes, he went to Shark Tank, didn't get funded, got pretty much joked off the stage. He said when he got back and when it aired, he had like 38, 39 people calling him, wanted to buy franchisings, wanted to support financially and invest, and boom, the rest is history. Wow. And so he was in town for the grand opening of one of his franchisees. Sister bought 12. She bought a 12-unit deal up and down the East Coast. And he shows up. I interview her. And she goes, you want to talk to Michael Elliott? Uh-huh. So he sits down. I do a live interview with her. I do it in him. And I just released it in our April edition. And it's really good look.
I enjoyed that, reviewing it. There's also what Mark has in his magazine is he has video capability. So not only do you see the article written up about the interview, you actually see the interview itself live inside of Mark's digital magazine, Off the Bench. And so it was really, really exciting to really see, look at you with somebody, we know you and you know him. So it's really kind of exciting to actually be a part of that and being able to see that interview up close and personal. So I was really impressed with that, Mark. You have a lot of who's that you're rubbing shoulders with on a regular basis.
It seems to be that way. I keep running into people who are doing the most, and I'm trying to be there. And it's amazing with your connections that just look at your network. You're probably not that far away. I picked up a client just recently as a coaching client who's connected to the mother of one of the superstar players in the NBA, and she's from Cleveland, and she was married to somebody I played ball against. And I think I kind of know her a little bit, from back in the day. I was like, I swear I remember, now you start making stuff up. I think I remember you at that game, right? And so we're sitting here reminiscing about Cleveland, and now the connect on coaching with her is even greater because there's a familiarity on the topic she's talking about. So the magazine has opened up doors for me that I didn't know I was going to be trying to open.
Oh my God, what an amazing journey. What an amazing journey. So Chris, I don't want to be greedy. I just need to back up, let you chime in, because I don't know, you may want to say something to our guests because I got so much.
Well, go ahead. I'll get in where I fit in.
Okay. All right. So Mark, talk to our audience in regards to how they can be featured in your magazine. And I know that you're looking for contributing writers, content contributors, subject matter experts. So talk to the base of who it is that you feel like you're looking for to come in partnership with you, and just be able to bless people who are your readers, incite them, empower them, and all that other good stuff.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, my target contributor is to say, to help people grow. Again, the title is Off the Bench, so just think athletic. That's where everybody goes with it, but think about the action. We're talking about strategies and mastering your strategy, and when you talk about strategy, goal, strategy, and tactics, those are all mental. You're thinking about all three of those things. The thing that's missing is the action, which is the off the bench moment, the get up and go do, right? The phone, making a call, sending the email. This is what I'm into. This is what I've been talking about for the last, 15, 16 years. So people who are writing on the topic of fitness, you're writing on the topic of financial wellness. Again, everything that's about getting yourself together. I like lifestyle. So I want to hear from the travel agent about what we need to do going post-COVID. Not go here to Bahamas or whatever, but travel looking like for us right now. And I'm saying us, I mean the world post-COVID, because you see the expert. So tell me, and I can go plan my trip, right? We want to hear from the entrepreneurs. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your struggles. I want to hear how you got over. That's why I tell everybody, tell the world how you got over. Where I can benefit and throw it in my toolbox and stay inspired to that point. So that's those are people I'm looking for. And as far as if you have an author, you have a book, we all want a good author. I have several books. There's a couple on the back wall. But I want to put you out there, and then I want to talk to you. And then I want you to get your story out there as well. And I find, like you find, Marissa and Chris, people write books, but they don't know how to put their story together, go tell about their book, or speak off of their book, or eat off their book for those from the street. Eat off this book, right? Come on to eat. And so we want to develop a strategy with this as well, but no one's ever worked with. We work really hard to put together this great piece of content. We sell a few copies and no one knows about it because we're not out here talking. So anyway, you want to reach me, definitely follow me on social media at off the OTB magazine. You can hit me there. And you can send the email to success@offthebenchmagazine.com. We'll talk to you about getting the magazine. I'm always looking for great people who want to be interested in writing their message and getting it out there all the time. If you're selling products, we're looking for that. And I'm into right now the arts. I'm into arts and culture. I have and coming up in the May edition, my birthday edition, we have a discussion on Black opera.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know much about it, and I ran to a sister who does, and she is a opera singer. So she's going to bless and encourage and enlighten us all on this culture that about us. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even much know about opera. I think the Kennedy Center. I think words I don't understand. But when you put us involved in it, now I'm interested. Now I want to know more about Black opera. So we are looking for culture. We're looking for those type of people to contribute.
Awesome. Sauce. This is all great stuff. I mean, I know with doing the magazine, it does open doors for you. And it also gives you an opportunity as a professional to be able to speak into the lives of those that you're featuring, and give them wisdom. And it cuts both ways, because some of the people that you come across are giving you nuggets of wisdom. And so that's a blessing. And it's such an honor to be able to give people the spotlight, to give them an opportunity where they would otherwise not have an opportunity to be promoted. Being in your magazine gives them that opportunity to get off the bench and get noticed. And so
exactly.
Now, what is part of what being featured in your magazine? Do you do anything else special with the people that are featured in your magazine?
Absolutely. People who are featured in the magazine, you get me a couple of times, right? We did the man, we got you there. Then I bring you onto my podcast, which is Off the Bench with Mark Wiggins. Wherever you get your streaming music from, you can find me, and we get to talk about your mess. Specifically, I want to have a conversation as not an infomercial, but sort of an infomercial. We're going to talk about your product and your story. So I believe if I can get you to tell your story so you can sell your story, and your story is your products, your services, and your platform, then people get to know, like, and trust you. So why not use this message, this media that I'm on? So we'll put you on the YouTube channel as well. and then I send you those after we process them and put them out for you to put onto your platform. It helps with your street cred. I mean, raise your hand if anyone's asked you, you say you're an author, they go, oh my God, you're an author. They just look at you differently. They look at you differently. And then I own a magazine. You told me this, Mark, when you tell me you got a magazine, Marissa, you lying, girl. Let me tell you what they say when I got a magazine. Everybody's, oh my God, I'm in a magazine. Yes, child, you're in a magazine. But that does you no good if you don't take it and leverage it with the stuff that you're doing, right? Building your street creds. I tell my speakers, the way to raise your rate, and Chris, you know this, publish a book, be in a podcast, be in articles, as featured in, as seen on, as heard in. Those all add up. And they don't really check and go, who is that? Oh, it was there. Oh, it was the magazine. It's great. So I'm trying to educate those coming into the magazine how to use it and go forth. Then you have access to me all the time. My subscribers want a Woke Wednesday message to their inbox strictly for them. My content hasn't released on motivation. 2 minutes. I need your time every Wednesday to stay motivated. And I'm finding that people are really enjoying those things. So more value than what you paid for, because that's the way you deliver quality business.
Awesome. Well, I do have a question. Just want to go back to the mastering strategy.
Come on.
So we're talking about mastering it, but how do you even get started? How do I even get started with the strategy period in developing a strategy, let alone mastering it? Because sometimes we have trouble starting. So help us. How do we even get started?
I'm so glad you asked, because usually I have some steps and I have 3.5 ways that you can master.
0.5?
Yeah, my 0.5. That's my hook, Chris. Don't question my hook. That's my hook, because you're gonna go 0.5. What is that? So listen. So the 0.5. I'm gonna give you a little history on the 0.5. So I read a book many years ago by David Gottemeyer. I think his name. He was a sales guru, and I actually met him. He was here in the DC area, and all his books had a 0.5 on them. And I was out in the network event. I asked him, I said, why the 0.5? He goes, because you'll never ever forget my 0.5. And I straight jacked it. So now I 0.5 on my steps so you won't forget. And usually the 0.5 is the most important point. But we'll run through that. Here's number one. Number one, need more concise goals. Specific, concise goals. We said that earlier. Don't just set a goal that's just out there. I want to have a business. That's not a good goal. We need to be a little bit more specific on that one and make sure you're clear with it, right? The second thing is set a clear strategy. The strategy is the how. And we're going to list the things we're going to do when it comes to marketing, advertising, networking, getting with people, going to this event, whatever. That's the how. And then make sure that you have your tactics clearly defined. Tactics are the what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the networking meeting. Specifically, I'm going to a networking meeting of entrepreneurs that are between the ages of 35 and 55 to talk about business opportunities. That's a tactic, right? Getting specific. You set those three things out right there. The 0.5 to all this, I said this earlier, all those three things are mental. I can lay this plan out all day, have it looking all pretty, PowerPointed, put it on mode, whatever I'm doing. But if I don't take action, it doesn't really matter. And taking action is the 0.5. How do you master something? Practice. I'm talking about practice, not the game, Allen Iverson, but practice over and over and over again, refining your steps, being okay with not achieving all the goals, being flexible. We talked about earlier, people with lists sometimes are too rigid. And if things don't go right, their whole world is upside down. Chris, I love your approach. I'll get it tomorrow. It's all good. But again, that's a flexibility and a mastery step. You had to get to that point, right? And so I think if you do those 3.5 things, you can do a better job of becoming a master of your strategy.
Yeah, those are good. And I like the way you said to be flexible, because life happens. Life happens to all of us. I can have the perfect plan for the day, but when life happens, the plan is gone. If I need to, if I have an emergency, what am I going to do with a plan? Right. I have to scrap the plan and deal with the emergency. And some people can't handle that. Well, I was supposed to do so and so, but life happened. So you have the one thing about being an entrepreneur, that it's my plan. I can do with it what I want. I don't have to answer to anybody. So if I don't get it all done, I'm not going to be penalized because it's mine.
Right.
I just have to readjust. I have to make the adjustments and be okay. And that's what I was talking about, not defining yourself by achievements and to-do list. That doesn't make you successful because you do all those things.
Not at all. Not at all. I know, and you're 100% correct. I used to own a cookie store back in the day. And before I became the speaker man, I was actually called the cookie man, right? And one of my philosophies in my store, and I hold it today. What? You didn't know what I was calling? I had a whole license plate and everything.
Cookies were they chocolate chip? I like chocolate chip, and I like them hot.
So there were gourmet cookies, and they're also bouquet arranged cookies. There's a gift giving idea, hand decorated, handmade from scratch. I can bake. There's something you don't know about me is I can bake.
Oh wow!
I don't bake anymore, but I can. And so the philosophy that I would have, and I even use it in today. We're talking about what I'm doing as my dreams funding position that I hold, is one phone call can change the day. Right? One phone call can change the day. Meaning there were several days we sitting around, not much to do. Here comes a call from Capitol Hill. We 100 bouquets. Excuse me. By Saturday, it's Thursday. Changes the day. So don't get too vetted what we're doing, because one phone call can change the day. And that philosophy kept me flexible, because when the emergency arises, Chris, that becomes the priority. That becomes the plan, right? And everything else gets adjusted to later. But you have to be flexible.
Yeah, right. You have to be flexible, and I say fluid too. So
yes,
you have
to, good word, right?
You have to flow with what's coming your way, especially when you are on. You're looking for, if you're setting an agenda to make things happen. When they start happening, one thing Leroy Allen says, availability. You got to be available for the moment. So in your mastering of your strategy, you have to leave room for fluidity. And that means you have to be able to flow when things are going in a different direction. Like I always set Monday as a day off. But it's not guarded 100%, because if something's going on with Chris, if something's going on with you, Mark, or any of my other clients, I gotta show up immediately, because that's going to make or break their transaction. And so, I make myself flexible. And when you're doing what you love, and you are really getting paid the way you should be getting paid, you're not selling yourself short, then you are honored to be there. It's an honor. It's not an obligation. It's none of that. You get it. You really, really get what this whole thing is about. So being flexible, being fluid, because just that one shift of the day can actually put you back in alignment with reaching all your goals. Right? That one shift of the day. So, I had there was 5 points that I'm always doing my research, and this is about content strategy. And content strategy has a lot to do with everything, our messaging, our branding. It has a lot to do with everything that we're doing, and it's a part of the big picture of our strategy, right? It's about marketing. What's our content in our marketing? You have a product, that's the magazine, content in that, and being strategic. And like I always say, I always map out my year based on topics that I want to master within a given month. So every month I have a topic that I focus in, drive in on, and master for that month. So in this research, it says you want to attract new prospects. You want to create new opportunities, new partnerships. That's a part of the networking strategy. When you're showing up for networking meetings, those are critical, that are not a part. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, CEO, you want to be creating new prospects. You want to capture their contact information. I always say, if you have a website, you should always have a way of capturing. You should have a lead where they have to fill out information in order to access, to go further within your website, to go further within your magazine. I know there's a lead magnet on your magazine, so that we can capture their contact information and make them our own customers. Engage in good conversation. Don't hold back. Be transparent. Because you never know what you've gone through as a challenge and how you've overcome, you persevere. It could be a blessing if you share it. Don't be ashamed of it. so that you can expose those bad feelings and let everyone know we all go through challenges. We all have setbacks. We all have low moments, but the key is to rise up every time. So create winning proposals. Like you said, you not only have them in the magazine, but you take them off the pages and onto your platform through your interviews. You begin to spread the word about them. Whenever you're having conversations with other people and networking, you also think of these people that you've worked with to connect them and to help them to build new connections on your platform and close new business. So that's a life cycle. You got new prospects. You're capturing their contact information. You are engaging them with good quality, high valued conversation. You are creating winning proposals with high value. A return on their investment is identified in this proposal. And then you're closing those new businesses. So you're closing those new opportunities with a closed bill. And then you're also meeting your achievements. So that was a bit that I did the research on, and I know Chris liked that from the last time. So I said, let me make sure I do it again.
Listen, because research is not my strength, so it's always good to have those in my sphere who likes to do that. So if it's something that I need to know, it's certain people I call. Hey, I need some information on this. Can you check it out for me? I'm a big picture girl. I see the big picture. I'm not the detail. So I have people in my sphere, in my circle that are into the details, like Latricia C. Bailey.
Yes,
I don't like reading contracts. When we get a contract, I send it to her. I saw the top, the big bold print, but all that other stuff, I'm like, okay, let me send this to her so she can read all this stuff. Because after the first paragraph, I'm bored. I'm done. I don't want to read this anymore.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about your book because we're getting close to the end, and I don't want to miss this opportunity to talk about your book, Permission to Succeed. The only person who needs to give it is you. I absolutely love that title because people sometimes look for permission from other people. One of the things, and I was talking about this to Latricia yesterday, is when I think about doing something, it never occurs to me to think about what you gonna think about it. That's the last thing that comes to my mind is what somebody else gonna think about what I'm deciding to do about my life. You're the last person that I consider in contemplating what I want to do. But a lot of people are not like that. So I love the topic of your book. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Of course I can. There's always a story, right? So Permission to Succeed was my first solo project. Like the musicians, I was in a group and then I took off and did a solo project. Actually, it was my second one. But that book was written during a down period. Is started writing it right before I got divorced. And the topic came, we were having an argument and I wanted to do something. She was up and down, back and forth. I was in the basement and I just blurted out, I don't need your permission to do what I want to do. That's pretty good. So I said, let me write that down. So when I moved out, I started writing this book, and it's by page. I'm not a writer. I've written books. Let's be clear. I know plenty of great writers. I don't qualify. I'm someone who has written a book, and so I wrote it page by page. Permission to Succeed, and I had to think, what does that look like? And Chris, you hit it right on the head. I assert that when we were younger, we had this grand bill of people telling us what they approved us to do. We ask for everything. Can I get the car? Can I go to the store? Can I go on break? Will you go out with me? Do you like me? Yes or no? We asked permission for a lot of stuff. But as we got older, that business shrinks. And so you go to one or two people, your bestie, and they don't have the same mindset you do. That sounds crazy, girl. I wouldn't do that. Well, I wasn't asking, but thank you. But that's what happened. So I talk about in the book steps to take to now give yourself that permission. Turn those questions internally and go yes to you. Steps like silencing the whispers, that internal conversation, forgiving yourself from things in the past. Stop pressing the rewind button. Stop going back and reviewing things, because we review and try to tell stories. You ever try to tell a story? You are actually tired 5 years later trying to tell that same story because you got to rise up to the level of emotion that you were to come back down. You got even more effort because you're removed from it. So we can do these things. For me, it was the loss of the business. Every time I told the story of the business, I had this emotional reaction. So I had to stop going back there. I stopped talking about cookies I wouldn't talk about business for years.
Wow.
Once I talk about business, nope. Just talk about why, because I don't want to deal with the issues of that. And eventually being dealt with, God said, you're going to have to go back into that space. And I went back differently into the space, not for the failures, but for the lessons. And now those lessons I now teach, and that's what I talk about. So that's what Permission's about. And
love it.
It's a walk the book. It's meant to be read and take action after each chapter. So it definitely is a good book.
Mm. Oh, it sounds good, honey. I'm gonna be ordering my copy.
Yes,
and
I
want
on Amazon. You get it. Yes, you can Amazon it, or you go to my website.
I'm going to your website because I like
yes,
to have signed copies of books.
Yes, ma'am. Whatever you. Yes, ma'am. I'll make sure you get your.
I'll be going to your website to order my copy because I want it signed, and I want it to be saying something to me, Mark.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make sure you say something to you. Absolutely. So we do that, and we can get those. But that's my permission to see it as my baby. And out of that book, I've written a couple more. So the follow-up book, which we didn't get to post up, is "Success Does Not Need a Co-Signer." That's the part B, which is behind me on the wall.
Nice. That's great. Again, I love it. I love it. And it's something that you said, and I guess I've just always been this way. If you told me no, I made sure I did it. So, because you said I couldn't, and I would make sure you knew that I did it because you said I couldn't. So I've always been built that way. Don't tell me no, I can't do something, because then I'm going to do it just to prove that I could because you said I couldn't. So I just never struggled with that. And I thank God for that. I know that's just the way that he built me, and everybody is not built that way. But I thank God that he did, because then I can help others. Listen, you do not need other people's permission to be you. A car doesn't have to be told it's a car. It already knows what it is. The manufacturer built it that way. So when you understand who you are authentically, you never need anyone's permission outside of God to do what you are designed and purposed to do. So I know that's a great read. People can go get it. Let me show it one more time for the people in the back.
People in the back.
All right, where's your stuff? All right, here we go. There you go. You can get it on these places. And let me also put up your social media handles so people can reach out and get in contact with you if they need coaching.
For the magazine. Let's go.
Kind of stuff. This has been awesome. We're coming to the end, and it always goes by so fast. So do you have any nuggets that you want to leave us, something that people can walk away with and put into their DNA, into their arsenal, and be ready to get off the bench?
Yes. I mean, again, thank you for the opportunity to be on. It's a great platform. I know you all are doing an amazing job. I love the energy coming from both of you. So I will be back, and I'll definitely have you on my platform. I just want to say to the people out here who are on the sideline watching and wondering, what do I have to do to get in the game? And the game is your life. The game is whatever you're trying to get to, wherever you're trying to go. And I simply see you, the only thing that's keeping you out of the game is you. You don't need for the coach to call you to the bench and for someone to buzz you in. You get up and get in the game. You begin where you are. Starting over is not an option. Don't worry about what happened in the past. Learn. Don't worry about what's coming down in the future. Deal with what's in front of you right now. Everyone's not going to ride with you. Everyone won't support you. But again, it's not about them. It's about you. So do the things that you need to do. Surround yourself with quality people. Read. Get good content. Subscribe to these magazines that are out here to support you. Get with the right groups. Hang with the right people. Funny thing about getting with the right people, when you do the right thing, the wrong ones seem to fall off by themselves. You ain't got to do nothing. You got to send no memos. I won't talk to you no more. They just seem to fall away. Why? Because you don't have space for them anymore. There's no space in your bandwidth for that negativity, for that energy that they're bringing. And you know what? He's different. You go, thank you, Jesus. Yes, I am. And we'll keep it stepping. So I encourage everyone to do what you need to do. Success is personal. It always has been, and it will remain personal until you decide to get off the bench and get in the game. And I'll leave you with this final step because I'll talk the rest of the day. I will leave you with this. My daddy's favorite quote. I say it all the time when I sign off. If you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low.
Ooh.
That's all I got.
Ooh, all right.
That's good. That's good. So is that quote in the book? That's a great quote. Come
It's
on, Daddy.
everywhere. It signs off everywhere. You call my phone, you'll get that. You see, you listen to my podcast, you'll hear that. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was good. This has been a really great show. Thank you for being our first guest. Yay!
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. We will definitely be back in touch to spin this around.
Yes,
And
awesome.
get on my platform.
Amen. Well, you have any closing remarks, Ms. Marissa?
Just really be intentional, be strategic, but don't add extra pressure and stress to your life. Just like Mark said, and to cap it off, is the CAP approach. It's make sure your strategy is clear, make sure that it's achievable, and connect with its payoff. Because what you get out of it is going to be the driving points for you to fulfill it. And so I just want to say, stick to it. Life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. Just press through the mess to get to God's best for your life.
Amen. Well, this has been great. And thank you guys for tuning in to First Fridays. Yay! With Marissa and Chris. And we will see you guys next month. First Friday. Don't forget to go over to our YouTube channel, First Fridays with Marissa and Chris. Ring that bell so you can be notified when we go live. Until next time, we'll see you.